Hi guys, hello, welcome to today's video. As you can see, we do have our Realmathon uniform on again, which means we are going to be starting another reading vlog. And this reading vlog is actually specifically for the 48-hour readathon within Realmathon. Essentially, every single book that you read within these 48 hours gives you 10 extra points. And technically it did start last night at 7 p.m. my time, I'm Eastern Standard. So I have basically until tomorrow, 7 p.m. to read as much as I possibly can. That being said, I did do some last night. We got like halfway through our book yesterday, and at that time, which was like again the official like start of the Gala of Peace, Cassidy did a reading sprint and I did join that. So from 7 p.m. till midnight I was on that sprint. I think the sprint went like an hour or two maybe even after I got off, but it was midnight my time. So I did go to bed and I read like a few more chapters, but we ended up stopping again kind of like halfway through, which actually, by the way, this book, we haven't even said what it is. This is the Never List, which is basically kind of a competition where one woman out of many gets to become the mate of 4 princes. So it is a why choose fantasy romance, and it's been really good so far. But before we actually get like too deep into this, I do want to kind of like quickly brief you on what my plans are for the next 48 hours, although we don't have 48 anymore. So again, aside from the Never List, we also have Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer. Again, you get 10 extra bonus points for every single book that you read. So I definitely like saw a lot of people's strategies basically was to save all of your smaller books for this 48-hour period. So that's kind of what I did specifically with these two. Again, Annihilation, I think this one is like just over 200 pages. Oh, it's not even 200 pages. It's just under 200 pages. So this is super, super tiny. Hopefully I can really quickly knock this out. And then the other kind of like smaller book that I have is Spellcaster. This is one that I got recently. Also too, with both of these, they do have foiling on the cover, which if you're a mage, foiling is one of our bonus prompts specifically. So these will also get us extra points. And then last but certainly not least, I really want to read Bull Moon Rising by Ruby Dixon. And I've told you guys so many times that I want to read this so bad, and I just never do. I don't know why. I really love the Ice Planet Barbarian series by this author, and I've just recently kind of switched over to Ice Home, which is a spin-off of Ice Planet Barbarians, and I'm also really loving that. So there's literally no doubt in my mind that I'm going to absolutely love this book. So I don't know why it's taking me so long. So here's my little stack. Hopefully we can get through these within the next, by tomorrow. I don't know how many hours we have exactly. Now let's go ahead and talk specifics about my reading experience so far with the Never List. Again, this is a why choose, and I have literally never met a why choose I didn't like. However, one of my favorite things about a why choose is kind of everyone interacting with each other. Essentially, we have our FMC, which I can't remember her name. I literally read this for hours yesterday and I've already forgot. Kaylee, Riley. I knew it was something like that. Our FMC Riley is part of one of kind of like the lower or the lowest class of this like kingdom, but her sister like went missing a year before this like book started taking place. And to kind of like get some answers, she sneaks into this big like party. I'm really bad at summarizing things, so let me actually just read the synopsis. The 4 princes of Lumethist need a mate and everyone wants a chance except for her. Threatened by invaders, the kingdom of Lumethist is on the verge of chaos and no one can stop it. Unless the 4 immortal god princes find their fated mate and safeguard the throne, Lumethist will fall. 5 women have tried, 5 have failed. And tonight in the royal city, the princes need to find their chosen and hope she can survive the transformation that will make her immortal. Only Riley Gray wasn't supposed to be here. She snuck in for her own dark reasons, and now they claim they found their perfect match. Her. So essentially, Riley sneaks into this party because her sister is missing and has been missing for like the past year, and the party last year was the last place that she knew her sister had gone. And although she was trying to like stay under the radar, she does end up catching the prince's eye. She gets chosen. I thought there was gonna be like a whole trial aspect for her to become the chosen, but that was not the case. It was literally just a party. They scoped out the party. They went, we want her. That was it. But now that she's actually chosen, she keeps getting tested in little ways, and then also she has to spend a month with each of the princes in their own area of this kingdom, like their own town or city or whatever it is. And circling back to how we like started this conversation, I don't love that setup because it kind of, again, I love a why choose where everyone is interacting and you get to see everyone's relationship with each other. And the way that this is set up, she is separately spending a month with each person. So I'm not really getting that like found family vibe, if you will. Like one of the reasons I love why choose is because it does have, to me, a very found family, a spicy found family kind of aspect. I absolutely love that, and I'm kind of feeling like we're not really getting it in this book because, again, of the way it's laid out, which leads me to kind of like where we are currently in the book. I am about to go into like the second part slash the second Prince's district, which is the Sapphire Cove. And to be even more specific, we are on page 193 out of, I think, a little over 417 pages. And at the very, very bottom, it says to be continued. I really hope the cliffhanger isn't anything crazy, because I love a crazy cliffhanger, because I love that feeling of like wanting to like instantly jump into the next book, but I don't have the next book. Like this one just came out, I think, recently, so we're probably not gonna have the second book for a while. So one of the things actually that has been kind of bothering me about like just the general setup of this book is the fact that they have gone through 5 different potentials, and the way that the book kind of like set it up in the beginning is as if they kind of like ran scared from these 4 men, but literally nothing has happened, because it's not like they don't want a mate. They do want one. So I highly doubt that they're like terrorizing these women. And if they treated any of them even remotely the way that they're treating Riley, as the reader, it's like hard for me to believe that narrative of them running scared. There's no reason for it. I just feel like it was made to kind of like set up this sort of like tension of Riley being in danger, but I'm not feeling that at all. So it's not very effective. I just finished with our second Prince, and we're now about to go into our third. And I thought I'd give you a little bit of an update. I don't really have too much of like the story overall I can say, because it would be spoiling it, but I do kind of want to mention some of the things that I do really like about the story, because I feel like all I've talked about is the couple of things I don't really like. But as far as like what I was saying about everyone not being together and not feeling very like found family, I do feel like it's gotten a little bit better. Like the deeper we kind of get into the story, the more and more everyone is interacting. So we are getting that a little bit, which I love. And also too, I did want to mention that I do really, really love the characters. Specifically, I am really liking our FMC, Riley. She's very kind of like spontaneous and a thrill seeker, which I feel like is kind of different to a lot of FMCs that I read about. A lot of them definitely like, you know, show up in the moment. Like if something bad is happening, they'll run into, you know, a fight kind of a thing, but they're usually not like literal adventure seekers. Like she is there for the thrill. And I kind of really like that. I am definitely the complete opposite of that kind of a personality. So it's fun to kind of read about someone like that. But also too, another thing, like one of my favorite character traits for anyone is she does definitely have a good sense of humor. She's very sarcastic and kind of like snarky. And I absolutely love that, because that kind of a characteristic definitely lends for some like really fun banter. I've definitely found myself smiling quite a bit, like with the interactions between her and the princes and stuff like that. As far as the princes themselves, it's kind of funny because while I was doing the sprint yesterday with everybody, we were obviously talking about our books and stuff, and they were asking me like what prince I liked the best, and I honestly don't really have a favorite, because we are 2/3 of the way through and we've really only interacted in any kind of depth with 2 of them. And the fact that we only have this much left and I'm supposed to squeeze in 2 more, it's kind of sad to me. It's currently about 6:30. I have finished the Never list. I also ate dinner. I made some pancakes. I've also got the current reading sprint going right now, just kind of like listening to that in the background. Before we move on to our next book, let's talk kind of final thoughts on this one. The ending was very good. It was very twisty, it was very turny. I mean, not super twisty and turny, it was kind of expected part of what happened, but that being said, it was still very entertaining, and I do wish the next book was out. Actually, let me look that up to see when that's gonna happen, because I actually don't think, like if this was on Book Outlet, which is where I got it, hence the little marker mark at the bottom, because it hit Book Outlet, maybe it isn't as like new as I was originally thinking. The next book is called The King's List, and it's coming out in May 19th specifically. As far as our points, we are gonna be keeping the points for ourselves. All the books that I read for this 48-hour like time period, I'm gonna keep for the mages. The only thing about this one is I'm not really sure if it qualifies for the like trial competition aspect, because It mentions the entire book that like she's going through this trial process of becoming their mate, but it's not like trials in the typical fantasy sense where she's like battling specific things or there's certain rounds or whatever. It's more of kind of just like a general process. I'm on the fence. I don't really know if it counts or not, so I'm actually gonna go into the Discord and ask. If you're doing Realmathon and you're ever curious about like whether a book counts or not for specific points, there is literally an entire section within the Discord that is specific for asking those questions. So I'm gonna go ahead and ask about this because I don't know. So we're gonna tally the points for this a little bit later. And then as far as our next book, I was definitely thinking about one of these two because I wanna kind of like knock out a quick one. I kind of think I just want to get this one out of the way. This one is the shortest one, so it should obviously take me the least amount of time. And this one is about a group of 4 women, an anthropologist, a surveyor, a psychologist, and the narrator of the book, which is a biologist. And they're basically trying to research Area X. It says their mission is to map the terrain, record observations of their surroundings, and above all, avoid being contaminated by Area X, because I guess a bunch of other groups have gone in and all gotten contaminated. I'm scared I'm not gonna like this because of like the very science-y kind of academic-y type of vibe of it. Like I love a good sci-fi if it's like in space, there's action, like Red Rising I freaking loved. Scythe I thought was cool, and then like Dungeon Crawler Carl. Like I love those types of things. I love like an action-packed sci-fi. This seems like it's more kind of textbooky. So it makes me a little nervous. There's 35 minutes currently on this sprint that I'm watching. So I'm gonna read for the next 35 minutes and then I'll update you on my thoughts and stuff. So it starts off with an introduction and I was just like reading it, not thinking anything of it. But then at the very end of this page, it said Annihilation, and it said, in this, the first book of Vandermeer's ambitious and masterful. And I was like, wait a minute, this is literally like an introduction to the book. I'm moving past that. And now here we go into the actual story. Literally within the first sentence, I'm already feeling so much better about this. Like I was reading the other thing, like I said, and I'm just like, oh no, this is going to be a nightmare of a read. It says, the tower, which was not supposed to be there, plunges into the earth in a place just before the black pine forest begins to give way to swamp, and then the reeds and wind-gnarled trees of the marsh flats. And actually, just to compare, because I mean, that didn't really sound like that fantastic, but to compare to the first sentence of this introduction, this says, for most of my reading life, mimetic realism was the admired mode of literature among critics, reviewers, and professors. The various literatures of the fantastic, those tales which prioritize the writer's imagination above lived experience, have been, for reasons unclear to me, suspect, either childish or escapist or lacking in subtlety or deficient in characterization. That they are often, none of these things had little impact on reception. What? Like I said, I read this and this page and was just like, oh no. Because I feel like the whole time I was like not absorbing what it was saying. I can absorb this though. We've got gnarled trees, we've got a forest, we've got a swamp. Got it. It's been like 40 minutes since the last time I talked to you guys, I'm pretty sure, and I've only made it to page 26. Like this is not a boring book, but for whatever reason, my brain just like will not pay attention. I keep having to read like the same sentences over and over and over again, and my brain is getting very easily distracted by other things. So I still want to read this book because I do feel like this would be interesting, but we're going to switch gears and I'm actually going to download the audiobook. So I'm going to go ahead and listen to this and actually paint my nails while we do that because I've been wanting to do that for a while and I just haven't had the time. But now that we're just going to be listening to a book, I might as well.
Escalation in the smell of rotting honey. Unnerved, I stepped back even farther, borrowing some of the surveyor's best curses, but only in my head.
right, it is 11 o'clock. I'm getting so tired, you guys. I did paint my nails. I ended up going with 2 separate colors because I couldn't decide. So I just did one hand with each color. And as far as our book goes, unfortunately, I will not be continuing this series, which is such a bummer. And I think that's honestly one of the reasons why I was putting off reading this book, because if I didn't end up liking it, I knew that that was going to be the end of the dream of having this entire series. I feel like the beginning of this was interesting and it did have kind of like an eerie kind of vibe, which I liked. But then we got like halfway through and it just got weird, and it had kind of that like fever dream vibe, which I just don't gel with. And I definitely feel like listening to the audio was the right choice, because I feel like if I was reading this physically, I would still be reading this. I ended up listening to it on 2x speed, which is like the fastest I've ever listened to something, but I just kind of wanted to get it over with, to be completely honest. The ending just had kind of like that ambiguous kind of vibe where you don't really know it's real, you don't know exactly what happened, and I don't like books like that. So I'm sad that I won't be continuing the series, but like I'm glad this is done. And now I have to decide if I'm gonna like keep it or not. Like I really love this cover, but I also really don't like to have just like a random first book in a series knowing that I'm not going to be continuing to buy them. This may or may not be going up on Panko at some point, but this is our second book finished for the Gala of Peace / our 6th book total for Realmathon as of right now. And I did actually go over the prompt lists, and there's only one positive prompt that applies to this one, but there's like 6 or 7 negative ones. Obviously you can only do 5 at a time, but there's definitely a lot more that apply to this one negatively than positively. So we will be attacking another team with this book. I just can't like miss out on the points, you know? And I wanted to kind of leave who we were going to attack up to you guys. So I did put in the Mages Discord a little poll, and I gave it like 8 hours to run. So in the morning, tomorrow morning, we'll like check it and we'll see who we're attacking, and I'll go over the points and stuff at that point for this book and the Never list. Like right now I just want to read and I don't want to have to worry about points and stuff. But those books are done. I don't know if you can actually see. Here's our little pile. Let me zoom in on it. But that's like the little pile that I've been collecting of all the books that I've read so far. And then here's the ones I want to read for the galley. I always want to say Galley of Peace. Gala of Peace. That being said, it is time to move on to our next book. And after Annihilation, I am very excited to dive back into my comfort zone with a fantasy romance. And this one is going to be another good one for the mages because there is foiling on the cover and there is an academic setting as well. And I actually do not know beyond that what this is about, so let's go over the synopsis. When my magic bloomed at 22, the last thing I expected was to receive an acceptance letter to the most prestigious witch college in the world. It's not that I don't have magic, it's just ... unpredictable. But with Weatherstone, a part of my family legacy, I'm determined to live up to their expectations. A task that's almost derailed on my very first day when I come face to face with Logan Kingston, the son of my father's enemy. I'm warned to avoid the powerful spellcaster at all costs, but apparently Logan did not receive the same memo. The more time I spend around him, the more I crave his unsettling attention, and as hate flirts with obsession, I'm left wondering if there's another side to the decade-old feud between our fathers. On top of that, Weatherstone is not at all like I expected. Built on the ancient blood of necromancers and battle, the magic here is as unpredictable as mine, and I sense a dark energy stalking my footsteps. When a monster attacks me, I have no choice but to turn to the strongest warlock in our school, Logan. After all, to fight a monster, I'll need a monster. Morning, guys. I am so tired. I stayed up until I think 1 o'clock, a little after 1, reading our book. And I did a little bit of reading this morning, so I'm currently on page 122, which is the start of chapter 17. Basically, we have our FMC Paisley, who has started Weatherstone College, and in the synopsis it had mentioned that her magic was like unpredictable, which we haven't really had much of her magic at all yet because she hasn't found her affinity. Essentially everyone in this like world, the witches and warlocks and stuff, have one kind of type of magic basically, so they're either elemental, so water, fire, earth, air, etc. But there's also necromancers and sprites, which are kind of more of, you know, earthy kind of magic, and they all have familiars, which personally, if I was at this school, I would want to be a sprite, I think. Just simply for like the familiar aspect of it. But then there's also spellcasters who have an affinity for everything except for necromancy. And our love interest, Logan, is a spellcaster, and he's like one of the most powerful ones, even though he hasn't even graduated from the school yet. And at this point in the book, we have had a couple of run-ins with him. She started her first day of school, and her dad was with her because he's a professor at this college, and he got a message saying that Logan was going to be starting at the school, and he immediately wanted to like rip her out of the school, which is such an overreaction, I feel like, because he's got an issue with the dad, and it did explain what happened, which I'm not going to tell you obviously because I don't want to spoil it, but like the dads have an issue. I don't understand why he's concerned about 18 years later, after this issue has happened, that the son is going to like kill his daughter. Like that seems excessive, but obviously she did convince him to like let her stay. And her first day was a little insane. Like a lot of things happened. Again, not gonna say what, but like she had a rough day. But she does have a lot of siblings. I honestly can't remember how many. I think there's like 5 or 6. One of which is actually named Jensen, which is hilarious. I literally never see my name anywhere. So that was kind of cool to see my name in the book, but also it's oddly throwing me off. If you have a more common name, let me know if you like see your name in books, if it like throws you off or it's just kind of like whatever. I'm kind of curious because I am getting very thrown off by this, especially because the character is a male character and I keep picturing a female character because I am obviously a girl. And yeah, every time it says Jensen, I think of like a girl / myself, because again, I am my only reference for my name. So it's like really throwing me off. So all of that being said, so far I'm definitely liking this. I think the only thing that I don't love, or I'm kind of like, it's kind of stopping me from getting like super absorbed in it, is the fact that our characters do feel very immature. Like I keep thinking of this as being like high school, and this is college. Like our main character is 22, and I feel like the dialogue specifically is what's making that kind of happen. Just like her and her friends just seem very young to me. But that's literally it. I'm really enjoying this, and I'm actually realizing a school setting is becoming one of my new favorite things. I personally never enjoyed school, so I didn't think a school setting, or like whenever I think of reading a book with a school setting, I'm always kind of like, eh. But lately, like this year so far, I've read several, and they've been like some of my favorite reads of the year. And originally I thought it was like the bullying aspect, and I do still think that's part of it, but this one doesn't really have that necessarily. Like she's gone through some stuff, but like she's not getting tormented every day of her life, you know what I mean? But I still really enjoy this, and I think that also is making me realize now that it's partially because of like the actual school setting. Like I just think it's really fun. So anyway, also too, by the way, like the school, the way this is set up, would love to go there. I wish it was a real thing. I wish I could have spent like the whole day like learning about different magic and stuff like that. Also, I wanted to quickly talk about the relationship so far between Paisley and Logan. They have had a couple of interactions, like I said before, and it is looking to be like it's gonna be one of those kind of relationships that I really like, where he's very standoffish, but she's gonna like slowly chisel away at him, and I'm here for it. It's a little after 4, and I have just finally finished Spellcaster. I feel like this book took me so much longer than it probably should have to finish, but we got there. And this ended in one of the most agonizing ways. Basically, this entire book, you're like waiting for this like secret to be revealed, and at the very end, they're like, okay, we're about to tell you the secret. Just kidding. Thankfully, the next book is being released in June, so I don't have to wait that much longer, but we do still have 3 more hours, or like a little bit less than 3 hours left in our Gala of Peace, and I definitely am not going to be able to finish an entire book in 3 hours. Honestly, I'm kind of tired at this point. Like my eyeballs kind of hurt a little bit. I am starting to get a headache as well, not from reading, but just general life. I get headaches a lot, so yeah, I don't really feel like trying to like shove another book in the next 3 hours. But before we go, I did want to kind of like enter in our points for the books that we did read. Okay, so the first one we're going to do is Spellcaster. This one has 324 points. So I think that gives us 20 like bonus points for like pages. Are you increasing or decreasing? I'm going to try to increase. I should have looked at the points before this, but I didn't think about that. And I do always start from the bottom because those are the higher points. So a symbol in the title, no. Make an ally, I don't think so. Read a host, 5-star, no. A book with parts, no. Author's name in 2 lines of the cover, no. Okay, so we only get 3 extra points with that. So we're gonna go back and we're gonna click decrease and see if maybe we can get some more points that way. Okay, and again, scroll to the bottom. Icon between the title and the author on the spine, no. A book that has interconnected worlds, no. At least I don't believe so. No the anywhere in the title. There is no the, it's just Spellcaster. So already just with that one, we have more points than positive. So we're gonna be attacking with this book as well. I really went into this thinking we were just going to keep all the points for ourselves, but that's just how the points are, you know, working themselves out. Author writes in multiple genres, I'm not sure, so I'll have to look that up. Read a book in one sitting. I didn't do that because I read it last night and tonight. A character has a hidden identity, no. A 5-star prediction, honestly, no. I had a feeling that I was gonna like it, but I wasn't going into it thinking like, oh, I know for sure this is gonna be 5 stars. So, book outside of my comfort zone, no. More pages than your last book, yes, because my last book again was Jeff Vandermeer, which is super tiny. Start a series, yes. Read using electronics, no. And then read a pretty book. This is absolutely a pretty book. Like, I think I've filmed just me doing this like 3 separate times for this book because it's so pretty, like the foiling on this. So definitely that one. So we've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 points for this one now. And this one does have a school setting and there is foiling on the cover. There is no competition, so we can't press that one. And now I just have to figure out who I'm going to attack. I did get the answer for the Discord poll and the Paladins won by quite a bit. So we are going to be attacking the Paladins with this book. But that being said, I don't want to attack the same team, especially because I think the last book that was negative points, I also attacked the Paladins then as well. So I want to like not attack the Paladins again. So that leaves us with the Clerics and the Rogues. So I'm going to actually do a flip a coin so that we can kind of just pick that way. So Clerics is going to be heads, Rogues will be tails. So let's go ahead and flip. And we got heads. So we're going to be attacking the Clerics. So Spellcaster has been submitted. Let's go ahead and do Annihilation. It is also so freaking dark. You would think it was already 7 o'clock, but it is not. Fortunately, this one is not going to give us any bonus points for page count. It's got 195 pages, and I think the first cutoff for extra page count points is 200. But we're making up for that a little bit with reading it during, you know, this extra readathon. We are decreasing like we said, so let's do that. And we are attacking the Paladins with this one. All right, so this one, an icon between the title and the author, no. No the in the title is 1. Author writes in multiple genres, I'm not really sure. Read a book in one sitting. We did read this in one sitting. No hidden identity, no 5-star prediction. Definitely was not thinking this was going to be a 5-star. Book outside of my comfort zone, absolutely 100%. More pages than your last one, absolutely not, because this one was the one that we read before that. Read a recent haul, no. Start a series, technically yes, this is the start of a series. And then read using electronics, and I think that's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, okay, so that's all that we can do there. And then this one has foiling on the cover, and it did not have any kind of competition or trial. And I've been kind of debating on the school setting / academic setting. This one is definitely not like a school setting, but it very much is an academic setting. Like, it's literally about 4 scientists going to study and observe a specific like area. So I'm gonna go ahead and say that this counts. I was kind of going back and forth on it, but I feel like I've kind of landed on it counting. Like, I would not be upset if someone counted a book like this as an academic / school setting. Again, it very heavily relies on academia. So I'm gonna go ahead and count that as school setting. And now we just have one more book to submit, The Never List, our very first book that we read. I don't remember how many pages this has. This one has 417 pages. And then, yes, obviously we read it during the thing. And this one for sure, we are going to be increasing our points because my one mission going into this 48 hours was to just gain as many points as possible for the mages. And I have totally failed. So at least this one book needs to be positive. A symbol in the title, no. Ally, no. not a 5-star read. A book with parts. Author name in 2 lines of the title, no. Second chance, no. Structural opening, no. There's an opening of an envelope, but I don't think that counts. Randomize your TBR, no. Dystopian, no. No. No backlist. Read a book in a different format than your last. This one counts for that as well because the book that I read before this one was on my Kindle. Multiple POVs also counts because we had several POVs in here. Read a sequel, no. A fast-paced read, definitely. And a book I didn't buy. I did buy this one. So how many points did we get there? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 points. So that's pretty good. And this one does have foiling on the cover. We have a teeny tiny bit with this like stamp, but on the actual hardcover, we have a good amount of foiling there. And with that, those are the few books that I read during the Gala of Peace. I didn't get my whole 4-book pile done in this reading vlog, but I did get 3 done at least. And Annihilation has been, although it was kind of a flop, it has been like a weight on my shoulders for a while now. So I'm glad I kind of like got that done. And it's also too just been fun like reading on sprints and things like that. I've been having them going even though I haven't been participating in all of them. I've had them just kind of like running on my computer this whole time, and it's just like so fun to know that you're reading with a bunch of other people. With that, I'm gonna go ahead and go. I hope you guys have had the most amazing of days, and I will hopefully see you in my next one. Bye!